Since the domestication of beasts, there's been no greater bond than that of a man and his dog throughout all of human history. This remains true in the grim dark future of the Warhammer 40k universe, and someone who embodies this is the new companion Solomorne. Solomorne joins the game with an incredible buff to shotguns, now being reduced to 1 AP, and with his incredibly powerful abilities to increase his damage when his pet or even himself attacks an enemy. This will be massively increased to this style of play. Much like my main character video that I showed before on the Vigilant Shotgun build, Solomon is also a Vigilant Shotgun user. So he has a very similar build. So when I was creating this on the test build, it was very similar to what I was already doing, though with some slight differences because they were competing for gears in different ways. And Solomon joins us at a level 24 build. We need to look at his origin to understand what's going on here. So we get shield mastery, which means we can use shields in one hand, so we don't take up both weapon slots, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, as always, we seem to be an Imperial World character, but we do get the Vigilant abilities, as in Swift Justice, which will allow us to do extra damage based on our coercion whenever we've already attacked with a shotgun or our pet, which is very good. We also get Fulminating Shot, which can reduce enemies' dodge and parry for 1 round after we shoot them. This is very useful, but it doesn't seem to count as a shotgun attack for a lot of abilities. Hopefully this is going to be fixed in live version. And last of all, we have Torrent of Fury. Basically, we get Fury whenever our dog is hit. We can remove those stacks of Fury when we do it. So whenever Glade does damage, we get +1 stack of Fury. And we get our damage of 5 times the number of Fury stacks removed. So if your dog's taking a lot of damage, this can be very useful to boost it up. When you have a pre-made build that comes from the developers, you have to think more about what their intended game plan is for the character and what items you have available than what you really want to do yourself. Solomon unfortunately comes at level 24 and this is locked in. However, the talent choice isn't the worst, and we have seen in the past worst options. So in order to understand what you're going to be doing with Solomon, you need to understand what his current build is. So starting at first, he has been built into a demolition-based character that picks up abilities like Rack and Ruin, Demolition Engineer, Second Skin, Point Blank, and Camaraderie. He also gets the unique Arbitas items of Prepared Prosecution, Armor Piercing, Pillar of Law, and Lawful Intervention, along with the ability Grizzly Adjudication and the Concentrated Fire ability. So he's being heavily built into using that shotgun, so that is quite useful. His side of the Overseer, he picks up the Run ability, Resistance is Futile, Perimeter Defense, Cohesion, and a lot of Fellowship, unfortunately. However, he does take Advanced Tracking, which is the key ability to building cybermassive damage, so that's not too bad. The game plan that you're going to be wanting to do with this is using yourself to get into enemies, because Solomon's a unique origin allows him to have shields in just 1 equipment slot, so you can use a shotgun pistol as well as a pistol in the other hand. Like before, I like to build him into 2-weapon fighting because this is what's going to get the most out of him with the higher attack economy. You can move into group of enemies, use the Protect ability, and this will AoE on those enemies. And then from there, when you use your shotgun abilities, everything that has survived will take extra damage, and if they haven't survived, you'll be able to move your dog on to keep going and creating more chaos. Unfortunately, you can't generate MP as well because he takes the bad firearm upgrades in his early levels. So he takes it so enemies find it harder to dodge and you do more damage with enemies in them. Unfortunately, he doesn't take the ability where he doesn't end his movement, which for some reason they gave to Ulfar, even though Ulfar doesn't lose movement on attacking. So with that in mind, let's start looking at the build that I've put together and we can start discussing how we're going to use this. Level 25 or rank 10 is when we can first start doing our own build on Solomon. So I like to take Rite of Calibration first to reduce the cost of the use of his dog, and then start upgrading his ballistic skill and his demolitions, which is something they haven't done. Coming in at rank 13, we take dual weapon combat and shotgun mastery. This is going to be important to increase our attack economy and allow us to have double shotguns in each hand. On the test build, some of the new shotguns didn't work with dual weapon combat, though all of the older ones did. This has been reported and it should be fixed by the time it goes live. The first upgrade we take for rank 12 is Overcharge 2, which will increase our familiar's characteristics by 30 when we use the heroic action. Level 14, we continue to increase our ballistic skill and demolitions, and at rank 15, we take one of the most important abilities, which is strategic adaptation. Whilst our companion is at full wounds, we'll do 12% more damage, which is going to be based on some of our checks with the companions, but it will also, if we kill with this attack, the attack will not count towards our limit for turn, and we'll also get our AP refunded. However, this doesn't always seem to work with some of the new Arbitas abilities. Hopefully, they will fix that. Rank 16, we take Law and Order and Public Sentencing. This is so we can get extra attacks during the placement phase and when we need to revenge attacks when enemies generate willpower. It will also allow us to do extra damage during extra turns. So this is a pretty big boost in this level here. At rank 17, we increase our agility and carouse. We have a lot of abilities that work around carouse, as with the base abilities of Arbitus that we have gone over. Rank 18, we take Chainmaw and Mob Justice. This will continue to increase our pets damage as well as the AoE damage of allies because of our fellowship. And lastly, we take Overcharge Upgrade 3, which will allow us to gain +1 deflection each time we use an ability. There is a ways to really abuse this and get our deflection to the moon. As we get into the exemplar ranks, the gameplay that we're going to be looking in Act 3 and 4 and beyond is mostly going to be moving up into packs of enemy, bringing up our dog later, which will then do area attacks when we use our perimeter defense, as well as calling him over for protect. There are some items that can allow this to be abused almost infinitely, but we'll have to see if that makes it into the full launch, but I will go over those items later. You will rapidly start increasing damage as we go through the levels here, because this is where we get our big damage riders. So it's going to be mostly the same as before, moving in, using your shotgun, using your dog, and just continue to increase damage, as well as being able to keep up front and have the shield out between the end of your turn so you can block. So looking at the talents, we start with Eager for Battle to increase our attack economy. We pick up Tenderize, which is a very key ability for our area attacks, which means our next area attack followed by an area attack does more damage, and it can apply to any damage that comes in. We pick up Victimize, which allows our pets to do more damage when they're apprehended. So if our pet apprehends, the enemies take 12% more damage, which is based on Solomorne's Fellowship. So in this case, it's 2 times the officer's Fellowship bonus. So if we buff him up, this also increases, which is pretty nice. We increase our demolition, we get more ballistic skill, we pick up Grenadier so we can lower enemy stats with iron eye grenades in case they've got that going on. We take Entrench because if we ever get stuck in the middle of nowhere, because we can't keep movement like we can with other builds, unless you give him the heavy breaches boots, Entrench is going to be useful to bank that AP and not waste it for when you give him another extra turn. We continue to increase demolition, but then we take the most important damage right in here, which is degraded defense. Whenever they suffer damage, for every 6 points of damage, they get 1 stack of extra damage coming in. This will go up to about 166, I believe thousands the cap, unless that changes. We'll take Brother in Arms, which will increase our resolve. We'll then get Ballistic Skill and Swift Slaughter. Swift Slaughter means we'll get more use of run and gun, so we'll build our perception and we'll get more attack economy. We then take Bite to increase our attack economy further for Glato. It does double rending damage and it is very useful as it can knock our enemies prone. We'll then increase our agility. We'll pick up Bound Mode Terror and Stronger Together. Bound Mode Terror will give us +1 to our key characteristics every time we use Apprehend or Protect. And when we use Stronger Together, it will give our allies +5 toughness. We'll then take Vital Points, which has a chance based on our critical damage to increase the damage by 50%, along with more coercion. And at rank 10, we got our AP. Rank 11, we pick up enough bullets for everyone, as well as more coercion. Then we get Fired Up, Medicae, Autonomous Medkit to double the wounds based on our toughness. Then we'll get Agility, Perception, Medicae, and we'll finally, at rank 15, get Extermination. So each attack is going to start doing more. As you're going to start shredding through your ammo count at these high levels, especially when you're using Finest Hour, we take Rapid Reload to get that reload in there. Unfortunately, not being Fortress World, we don't benefit as much as the Rogue Trader build. At rank 16, we get Right Soul Nourishment to increase our weapon skill and strengthen our pet by 5, along with some Medicae because we have no points to go anywhere else. We then pick up Integrity, which gives us more MP and Ballistic Skill when we are at full health, which is very useful, as well as No Heresy, which gives us 10% critical hit chance and armor against Xenos enemies. Rank 18, we pick Double Slug, which is a double single shot attack, which will allow us to get some nice pick off range damage when we can't quite make it or if there's allies in the way. will also increase our perception. Rank 19, we take critical velocity as well as side by side. Critical velocity will increase our critical chance and damage based on our dodge, and because we get second skin with median armor, that is going to keep going up, as well as side by side. So if your dog's in protect and you fail a dodge, you get to re-roll and try again. Lastly, at rank 20, we get another AP increase, which will bring the build to fruition. This is a very mobile build and a very fun one to use. As previously stated with our Vigilant build, I didn't actually have full access to all the new items on the test version because some of them just could not be read. My Rogue Trader was also competing for the same items as Solomorne, so that a few changes had to be made. At the moment, I took the Pirate's Eye patch because it was plus 20 to coercion, which is quite useful. There is the Ironclad Argument, which gives him coercion based on his ballistic score, so this was another way to get some more boost. He has a very unique armor called the Warrior Armor, which is, whilst the wielder has less than 100% wounds, their coercion is increased by 25 and their critical damage by 25%. They also get extra armor based on their coercion, so if they take any damage, his armor goes up. It's already in medium armor, very high at 84%, whilst he still has 108% dodge, which is very nice. This item here called Ultrasonic Whistle, whenever Protect is used on the Rogue Trader, it costs 0 AP. Yeah, this is bugged at the moment. It just makes Protect 0 AP all the time, so you can just infinitely run around building up infinite damage for your dog, as I showed earlier. I gave him the Bayonet Chain Knife, so it increases critical damage by 25% to anyone that's been hit but within 1 cell range of him, mostly because all the other good stuff were on other companions. He did, however, get the Marksman's Bracers, which gave him 10 ballistic skill and 25% critical damage. I also gave him the Navy Breacher boots, that when the wielder's area attack damages at least 2 enemies within a 2-cell radius from the wearer for the first time during the round, the wearer gains plus 2 AP, so it's a way to get AP back, but you have to angle your attacks quite well to be able to get this. This attack does not count towards the attack limit, so it's another way to increase the attack economy. It's not as good as the heavy breacher boots as what I was using before, but for the cape, I was using the zealot cloaks. Sometimes you do accidentally shoot allies, and when you do, you get stacks of zealot, which increase your damage by 10%. So you might accidentally blast an ally, but you're going to increase your damage because of it. One of the weapons I've got on here is the full auto shotgun and the scoped shotgun, mostly because, again, the Rogue Trader was competing and I needed those two ones. However, I do have the unique Bloody Vigil, which you can only get if you bring Solomon into Act 3, which is a very powerful foe hammer. And at the moment, he had the Defender Shield on. I don't know what's going to make it into the live version, but this one gave him temporary wounds, which was 4 times his fellowship bonus at the end of a turn. And being at a 6, that wasn't too bad to get 24 temp wounds at the end. And because he's rank 3 dogmatic with no icon class, he doesn't take ally damages from ally, and it's got 40% block, so it is very good. So you try to start combat with the shield out, and then you end up swapping back to it during your attack turn. So yeah, you take some high block chance, get some shots off, and then yeah, you swap over. For Solomon, there is no alternative build because he's already locked into his T2, so there's not much else you can do, though itemization will change quite a bit depending on what you find. If we find any other broken or glitched versions, we will get that updated in future videos, but this is going to be a very solid build for your run going into the DLC, and when you can see some of the new items, you might change things. Basically, you want to take anything that increases his crit damage, his ballistic skill, gives him movement on kill or damage, and all those other lovely little things like that. Anything to cause willpower checks will actually allow him to take bonus extra attacks on enemies, especially if you have something that on a defensive setup. But hopefully this will help you carry into the game, and be excited because we're going to be updating all the old companion builds as from tomorrow. Till then, I will see you later, and hopefully you'll already start on your journey into Lex Imperialis.